Right, Ryan. So, when did you start taking your punting seriously? When did it develop from the 50p reverse forecasts?
I think I had like my first £5 bet when I was, I'd love to say 18, but probably about 17 to be fair. But no, so obviously 17, 18, then you're starting to like think, okay, let's try and make some money on this. Like, but it was only like £15 was a big bet for me then. And like when I got to 18, then if I had like spare £2 in my pocket, I'd go into the bookies and try and find like a little 20p each way reverse try cast, stuff like that. But so I'd say even from then though, £15 bet for me back then was quite a substantial amount for me. Like I was nervous when I was betting it, so I started to then like bet things that were quite decent amounts for me. Like going forward, then probably £20, £30 would have been a big bet for me. But I think my wage back then was probably £150 a week, so that's quite a large amount of it. So around about then, really, I started to look. But I was just card reading really, so didn't have access to the replays that we do have now. So it was mainly just like at the mercy of card reading or going to the track and just kind of knowing dogs, but very lack of knowledge. But back then I didn't know that. So it was around about 17, 18, yeah, 18, 19 that I started to then have more regular bets as such.
And were you doing it then to make money, or were you doing it because you love betting?
It was, I love betting, probably both. So I'd do it to go and pay me to have a night out, basically, or if I want a pair of trainers, I'd try and like win them kind of thing. It wasn't really like to make a living off it, so it was just try and treat myself. Because again, I weren't betting in like big amounts to end up winning a lot of money. It was just like pay for nights out, stuff like that. If I wanted to go like a day out somewhere, I'd try and win it. But I love betting. Like, I love the bookies. Tom Fruit was the one at Coventry Fruity, and he's such a character. I just love the back and forth with it. I love the roar in the eyes. Like absolutely loved it. I didn't like the feeling of losing, but then the feeling of losing back then made me want to go again and like try harder to make sure I win. Because I didn't want like the bookies to have like my 10 or 15 quid back then. So yeah, it's probably a bit of both really, to win pocket money, but also I love the thrill of betting.
So you wouldn't have been the sort of person that would have gone for the night and just had a guess up every race with a fiver and just chucked it away.
Nah, especially then. So even though I probably would have had a bit of a social in terms of drink, like having a drink and stuff like that, I still would have gone through the cards properly, not in the daytime, and I would have literally had every single race written out, what I think the first, second, third, a chance, like the percentage I think that it can win. So it was all it was structured as well as I could be back then. So yeah, it wasn't a case of just being there for a social and guessing kind of thing. It was trying to like actually predict what was going to win.
Okay, and you sort of took it a step further. You were telling me before we did this, you teamed up with your brother.
Yeah, so it was around about, Joe got a bit older, so I was about 22, 23 then, 24, and started to have a bit more money then. I was working full time then as well, so because I had a bit more money, and Joe was about 21, working full time as well, so I started a bit of money, and we were just going at Hall Green and Coventry, and then we started to watch like a lot of open races and stuff like that, but Hall Green and Coventry really were the two where we go to every meeting, know every dog. So then we just formed an opinion then really, and like if we knew Tuesday night we'd look at the card at Hall Green for Wednesday morning, and if we knew that there was a dog that we fancied in the race, could be an A6, could be anything, we'd go right. Let's look at the price. Racing Post then would put out their predicted price, and if it was what we thought, right, that is it. We probably didn't look at the value too much though. We just thought if we fancy a dog that's going to be favourite and it's even money, we still would have bet it. So then we end up then just going around. If it was a bags meeting at Hall Green, we get on as much as we could in the bookies. So I think back then you probably get about 200 quid on. And then we'd then go to the track as well, either to get more on or watch it, because back then the bookies at the track was the one that like chalked up, priced up. So you're hoping that they make a mistake and then you go smash. But that was really it. Really, so I started to get a bit more serious then. So the bets would have gone from say 15, £20 when I was say 19 to suddenly now 3 or 4 years later going like £100, £150, stuff like that.
And were you winning?
We have our moments. Yeah, we had a spell at Hall Green that was ridiculous. Like we were winning every single Friday and Saturday night. We just knew the trainers, and we'd like speak to trainers as well. So we try and get as much information. Like Richard the Bakers, they were like poker faces. You couldn't tell, but you could kind of start to guess like, okay, this dog ran flat for 5 runs, probably gonna have a chance here now in this one night, as long as like the racing office gave it a run. So we kind of got to know the trainers because then like know the dogs, like the form of the dogs and the signs that they were going to be gambled. So Spat at Hall Green for about a year where we were doing very well for what we were like. We were doing extremely well. And Friday and Saturday nights were packed as well. The atmosphere was good, but yeah, we were doing quite well.
And did you ever in the early days have a mentor sort of putting you in the right direction with the form and all that?
No, it was literally just me off my own bat really. Yeah, I not in a stubborn, arrogant way, but I like to be in control of my own fate and destiny. Like, so I'd always try and speak to trainers if I could back then and try and get all the information and gossip. But I quickly realised that like trainers in general seem to fancy their dogs anyway, kind of thing. So it was like, okay, I got that. So it was just really off my own back, and if I lose, it's on me. because I hated like getting a tip, betting a tip, and then it losing, and I'm like, well, I can't blame myself for it. I got to blame them, but I didn't like that. I like to take full responsibility for that, so it was just my own thing. If I fancied it, I'm betting you.
Now, I'm assuming that as these weren't flapping tracks, there was very little actual skullduggery going on.
Nah, nothing like that at all. But as if like you had like a bitching season, who's coming out of season nice thing, you knew the time was right, and you're just looking then to see if the racing officers give her a good chance kind of thing, or like you just have with forms like if a dog was running in trap 4, say, getting a bit of trouble, but then moved to trap 3 with a slow away dog inside, you're thinking he's giving it a chance here. So then you're kind of like, right, that is what we're looking for. Them kind of dogs we're looking for. So they might not stand out to the eye straight away, but if you get to know the dogs more and know like how the races are planned out generally, then you get more of an insight.
Okay, now a name that made my ears perk up when you mentioned it was Mark Hill.
Yes.
Bookmaker. Now, I'm assuming this is the same Mark Hill that I've interviewed that's an expert on hunting the chases, and his father was Angus Hill and all that. Very, very, very shrewd man.
Very shrewd man.
So he was taking you on. Didn't that worry you a bit?
Yeah, he was, yeah. But again, you feel as bad as you're young then. You feel as you take the world on. But really good relationship with the bookies at Hall Green though. Like they knew who we were, me and Joe were, because we were loud. Like we made sure that when people knew we were winning, like we made sure like everyone knew, the world knew that we were winning. It didn't last last about a year then, but Mark probably did win the war, I think. But yeah, the thing back then as well, you could get bets on, so like they like cover their bets, like they'd drop the price and stuff, but you'd get a bet on like. So you'd have people just lining up, and as soon as someone priced up Mark, and there was a good trust thing with Mark as well. He knew that we had no inside knowledge. It was just our opinion for you, mate. And back then it was bookie v punter. It wasn't like an algorithm now that does the prices. It literally was your opinion v our opinion, and I think I'm going to beat you, and you think you're going to beat me, and that was that really, which was fair game to me. That's how betting should be.
Yeah, he wouldn't have been guessing with his prices, though, would he?
No, very well. Like I said, I got stung very quickly. I learned a half lesson with that one.
Now, I was interested that you took a year out in America. So, was there anything that's interesting for this interview? What you did over there, or
started to think that I could master American ground racing there.
Really?
Yeah, so 8-dog racing over there. So me and the lads that I met over there, like they were English lads. They love like a gamble and stuff like that. Like a lot of English lads who go over to America, they love horse racing. They love it. Like because it's a bit different over there. So there was a ground track about 40 minutes from where I lived, Massachusetts. So
you didn't go over there for the ground racing?
I went over there for football,
right? Okay.
And I said, look, I'm probably not going to start looking at betting in England because I need to just really focus on my life over there. But my mate said, "Nah, there's a horse track and dog track like 40 minutes away." So and started to go there on days off. Didn't really. Yeah, it's really hard. Them at 8-dog race, American races, it was just guesswork. And I think. Probably might have had a beginner's look at the start, but after about 3 or 4 meetings, I was losing a fair bit of money there. So I went, no, stop now. It's just got to be fun when you come here.
So when you say football, what were you playing football?
Coaching. So I knew pretty early in my football playing career that I weren't going to make it high, but I loved coaching from a really early age. So football and ground racing were two passions in my life. So I knew that I loved coaching, and so I was coaching really early. So when I was about 20, I think about 25, 26, I got an opportunity to go and work in America, and I took it. Yeah, I was there for about 18 months, 2 years. Really enjoyed the lifestyle over there, but realised then that I needed to kick on in my football coaching as well. So came back after 2 years, and that's then when my gambling took a different kind of angle, different level.
Yeah, you came back with a tank,
yeah,
and you were feeling a bit bullish.
Yeah.
And you described yourself back then as a good judge but a terrible gambler. So I'm guessing that with hindsight, that's how you felt at the time.
Yeah.
But, it's not going to end well, this story, is it?
No, it's not, no. So came back from America. I'd done well over there, saved money, came back. I'd still follow ground racing, but more like the open race scenes over there. So I still was aware of what was going on and stuff. Came back. Got a job full-time coaching as well, in the daytime though, so it meant that my night times were free, weekends were relatively free. I thought I could take on the world really. I thought, I thought the more money you got, the more easy it is to win. So spent a lot of time looking at the cards and stuff like that, but it was if I won, I'd win more. So there were weeks and days where I would win a lot, and I'd be very happy with myself, thinking, this is fine. But just started to notice then after a period of time then that it was the chase, and I never really tracked my bets back then. So say if I lost, say I fancied a dog, I had £200 on a dog on a Saturday night and didn't win, and then I'd have a few more after. In my head I'm thinking, I lost a few £100. But it turned out over a period of time then that £300 was actually £500-600, and it was happening a bit more frequent. And I started to realise then after about 3 months of that kind of betting, think, oh, you're losing money here, Ryan. Like, I didn't really click on. Like my bank was just getting smaller and smaller, to be fair, without obviously like hitting one hit. And then I started to question myself then, and started to reflect a bit more, and I was like noticing then where I was losing money and then needing to chase again and bet again. And that feeling then of chasing when you're in a bit of a hole was becoming a little bit more like frequent. And it was frustrating then. So then I'd be able to give myself days off and stuff like that and times off, and then go back to then sensible betting where I then would pick up again. But then I'd get a little bit more confident and relaxed, and then I'd go back to type, which is the get on the chase like. And there were times where you'd win money, you'd be losing money, have a bet that wins, and then like, yes, get in there, and then you bet again kind of thing. So the chasing was becoming a little bit more frequent, and yeah, I wasn't actually winning.
And there was, you told me this over a pint, but when we first met, you had a very chastening day where well, it probably did you a favour in the end.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Worst day of my life. I was in the gym. So again, I was doing this thing like where like I started to spend considerable amount of money betting. I was in the gym, and I think I was like X amount over my overdraft, stuff like that, whatever. So I was okay. I was in the gym. I fancied dog at Newcastle. I think I had a couple of like about 80, 100 quid on it maybe, like, but I fancied it 7-2. Never forget, I was in the gym, watched it, didn't win. Started then having a few other bets, like £20 on the next race, whatever race it was, the next race, £20 on the next race, £20 on the next race. Now I'm probably about £200 down, £50 then to try and get my money back. Oh, there's a dog here, 4-1, got half a chance. I have £60 on that to get my money back. And very quickly then, I was like, I had that feeling where my heart was starting to pound, and I knew I was in a bit of a hole. There was no stopping. Like, it was like, right, I've got to get out of here. So then, I think then about £600, then I was down all in the space of about 20 minutes in the middle of the gym, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Suddenly became another bet. And I remember then going to, it must have been about 50 minutes, but my head's gone. Like, I'm all over the place. Like, I'm just sat there on this machine, like, just gone. I think people who know the chase, what it feels like, it's the worst feeling in the world. Went to put a bet on a dog and couldn't get the money on. So what's going on here? Like my bank wouldn't let me get the money on. So I've gone into my bank account, and I'm literally like about 10p from maxing my overdraft out, which was like £2,000. So I'd done like £2.5 in the space of 50 minutes in the gym, and it's the most lowest I've ever felt. Felt embarrassing myself, and I went home. Well, I got in my car, and your head's just flat. Like those generally, like when you do that, like you wake up the next day and you're like, oh man, what's going on? But went home to my car, went to my house, and my girlfriend was there, and she said, what's up with you? Like, because you look like you've seen a ghost. And I was like, I've got to be honest, I've just done probably about £2.5 at the gym. She went, what? And she was like shocked and stuff. £2.5 at the gym. And she went, bloody hell. So I went, look, I'm going to sit in the garden, whatever. And then I had to reflect on it, because like I said, I was a good judge, like in terms of like I was picking winners, like, but I just couldn't control my gambling. Like, if I fancied one dog on the card and it would win, I would then like back another 3-4 things after. So then I ended up losing my winning money on the one thing I fancied, like, and it was just so frustrating. Just a more gambler, really. So then I remember looking in the mirror that night, and I went, right, I looked at myself, it's a bit sad really, but I went, never ever again do this again. Never get into this feeling. Just remember the feeling, like box the feeling up and just kept it. Like, never again. Woke up the next day, flat. Woke up the next day, I was like happy, sunshine, and then about 3 seconds I realised what I'd done, and I was like, oh, what's going on here? So then just set a system then up. Then I was like, right, you know what? You're a good judge here. What do? I went, do I stop betting? I went, no, because my life was ground racing. I love the social ground racing. I love watching it. I started to make good friends in ground racing. You know what? I can't just say no to it. And anyone who knows me, I'm very strong-minded. I've got a lot of willpower, believe it or not, after that story. I was like, you know what? Now I've got to put a structure in place here, and there's money to be made for me here, because I think I'm quite talented at this. I went, but I just don't know how to like capitalise on it. So then, yeah, I set myself a plan then to how I'm actually going to then start making proper money from ground racing.